Hi, everyone. Thanks for checking in to the Pit Stop. This is Will.
And I'm James. This is our recap for season 38, episode 8. I can't believe we're almost done with the season. I feel like we just started it yesterday. We're flying by. But to help us recap the latest episode as teams raced through Romania again is a dear friend and special guest from season 34, Molly. Hey, Molly.
Hi. Can
How's
I
it
just
going?
say it's great. I just love watching the playback of you guys getting on the mat. It is just the best.
Molly.
So
How
cute.
are you? We haven't seen you
I'm-
since the finale in May when we all stayed together in that home exchange. That was so much
I
fun.
know that was fun, wasn't it, James? Um, yeah, no, I'm doing great. The year is just completely flying by. We did a lot of travel this year and started reno on our kitchen, so it's like blink of an eye and the year's gone. Yeah, we're still in the middle. Well, not the middle. We're at the tail end, but we've been at the tail end of the reno for like a month. So yeah,
We
it's
totally understand how the reno process goes. Is it going smoothly?
yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited to hear your thoughts because this is the first time we've had you on the recap this season. How are you enjoying the European adventure, and are you enjoying the Big Brother teams?
So I think I'm a little biased on the Big Brother teams because I did get to meet quite a few of them a few times. So it's like watching your friends. I imagine a lot of our friends that watched when we were on it are probably had, the same bias towards our season.
Right.
But yeah, no, I think it's been fun. There were moments where I've cringed the amount of help. An alliance is one thing, but literally handing people directions, I don't know. I just, it went a little far. But yeah, and I'm really surprised that people haven't gunned for previous winners. Like there's been no U-turning or targeting of any sort of Big Brother winners, and I was shocked to see that not play out this season.
That is so fair. The fact that we have all 3 Big Brother winners still in the race, and not even just that, we're going into this leg with 2 express passes still is still beyond wild to me.
And 2 winners have the express passes.
Wow. I think with all the guests we've had on this season so far, everyone's kind of hit or miss. They're either loving this season or they're we could have done without it, but it's still fun for what it is.
Yeah.
But I like you said, it's fun knowing the people on the show. I think if it was not Big Brother people, I do think this season could have potentially fallen flat just given the route. A lot of the leg designs haven't really been that spectacular, but because we do have such big personalities racing, I do feel like it kind of fills the void of not being a world race.
Yes.
But yeah.
What do we
think? What do we think about the most recent episode from this past week?
I thought that there was more shakeup than previous episodes, so that was kind of nice. It was nice to see. I always love, sort of the more arts and cultural challenges. To see the music and the dance, that always brings me joy. I was, knowing there were 2 express passes, you kind of assumed who was going to be at the top. So it was just truly more exciting to see who was going to go out. And we were, I won't skip ahead, but surprised at the end and pleasantly so for me.
Yeah.
Will, what did you think about the episode overall?
I thought it was great. I thought there was a lot more fairness in the challenges. I love the cultural aspect, the dancing, the egg was kind of cute and fun. The instrument, and even making the meat, the logs, the meat, or what do you call it?
Meat?
Sausages?
Meat.
Yeah, that was really cool too. So I liked the design of the leg, and I thought it opened the door for a lot of mistakes and chaos between the partners. Like we saw Chelsea and her dad kind of bickering. We saw people getting lost and having to navigate a city that they don't know anything about. So I think it was a very good full episode of The Amazing Race. I loved it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, teams are staying in Bucharest, Romania for this leg, and they'll be partaking in what Phil said was an Expedia-inspired leg of the race, where we would get to see some authentic experiences, just like the ones found in the Expedia app. We love a little sponsored plug. But dare I say, I don't know if this is a hot take or not, but I feel like we need a little bit more Expedia inspired legs, because this is actually one of my favorite legs of this season, if not one of the best designed, in my opinion, because of the tasks and how culturally relevant they were to the location that they were in. And I'm just like, imagine if there was like an entire season with Expedia inspired legs. Like, I just feel like we would see some really unique and exciting experiences that, you know, don't feel so produced for a TV show. Like you get a nice balance. I don't know. What do y'all think?
Yeah, I think so. I gotta be honest. I don't know if I went to Romania if I would do an egg hunt. I think it was cool to see the eggs, but I don't know if I'm paying to do that, to be real. But yeah, I mean, my favorite leg of the Amazing Race that we were on was our Expedia experience in Iceland. 100%. Those were the coolest opportunities to see the country, see the landscape, explore. And yeah, it was totally like top notch. And I would agree then, James, but maybe not an Easter egg hunt.
That's fair. I mean, yeah, I'm curious if that is like an actual experience that people go, they're like, yeah, let's just go do this like community like Easter egg hunt, or if it's really more about the eggs specifically, how they're painted and designed. I don't know. I just, that would be such an interesting thing for Expedia to offer.
I am not gonna do that when I travel. Like, just like Molly, like I'm not gonna pay or use Expedia points or whatever to do an egg hunt in the woods. What I would do though is I would try and, you know, go to a museum or learn about like the history of the eggs and see a bunch of pretty eggs. Cause I mean, we obviously know that Fabergé eggs are a huge deal in other countries like Russia. So I would love to learn about it, but I don't want to do an egg hunt.
That's fair. That's fair.
Unless there's like money inside.
I would say only for $1 million.
Yes. Well, I think Molly, you mentioned this, that it felt a little bit closer in the race with the teams this leg, just because of the start times alone. I mean, in the previous legs, there were like hours and hours of gaps between certain teams. So to see there was a little bit closer in times was nice, you know, with Tucker and Eric leaving first at 9:17 a.m. and then almost like an hour and 20 minutes later is Izzy and Paige. So it's a little bit of a closer race, even though the one thing I didn't like about this leg is that it really felt like we were watching just Tucker and Eric and Jag and Jazz like duke it out for first while everyone else were duking it out for third or last. That kind of fell flat for me just because it was like predictable who was going to get first. It's like, okay, well, one of these two teams is definitely getting first by the end of this leg. Yeah. But still fun nonetheless. At the start of this leg, they have to go to a park to get their next clue. And that clue states that they cannot take taxis this leg until further notice. And it was the roadblock where one team member had to hunt among numerous intricately decorated Easter eggs hidden in a grassy field for one that matched a giant egg, and then rolled the giant egg into a nest before receiving their next clue. We already kind of talked about our thoughts on like this type of task. It is definitely a needle in a haystack, but did you guys enjoy it in terms of like watching, like entertainment wise, this kind of roadblock?
Oh, for sure. I think a needle in a haystack challenge is like iconic, Amazing Race. I think that watching the teams do this and be a little stressed about finding these little eggs was very entertaining, but it also opens a door for other teams to get lucky and find an egg really quick, which I think we saw. Who found it really quick?
Izzy.
I don't remember. Izzy
Yeah, I was gonna
found
say,
it really quick.
yeah.
I think that helped them for the rest of the leg. And so I like challenges where like there's a little bit of luck involved, a little bit of keeping your cool and your calm and not getting too overwhelmed, which we saw some teams get a little overwhelmed by it. But I thought it was great, entertaining to watch.
Yeah, I thought it was entertaining. And the one thing, the chicken, I don't know, that costume seemed pretty budget and crooked. I don't know if you guys thought that, but his head and his neck was like, I don't know if he's looking forward or what's going on with that.
It might be the leftover costume from when we were in Berlin and did the chicken dance.
Ashley in the chat says, I liked the chicken costume as well as that chicken was funny. And I actually pulled the clip of Taylor talking about the chicken.
That chicken looks sinister. That chicken was soulless.
No, the chicken was welcoming as far as I was concerned.
Oh no, that chicken was staring me down on the side. I had to tell that thing, like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. Look over there. Don't look at me.
Okay.
Let's go.
I would actually like to know the mystery behind who was in the chicken suit. Was it Bertram? Was it Elise? Was it one of the producers? Because if it was Bertram, that would make it even funnier.
No, Bertram's on the side going, give me more chicken. That's not, you're not expressive enough.
I have a thought. What if, with Marvel, I feel like they always, in the earlier movies, Stan Lee
was in the show.
Some kind of cameo or appearance. And even though he's, sadly passed, he still makes some kind of cameo. They kind of like edited him in somehow. Bertram should start being like the Stan Lee of Amazing Race and just pop up in random scenes. And like maybe he was in the chicken suit.
I would love that. Like he's like one of the people in the restaurants or something when you're
exactly. The chicken suit was great, and I did enjoy watching this roadblock. I mean, at first I was worried that people would show up and then there wouldn't be a lot of bunched up moments with the eggs, but obviously I was proven wrong when there were 4 teams. It was Kyland, Adam, Izzy, and Chelsea all searching for an egg at once, and that was really exciting because Izzy, who kind of showed up towards the end of the pack to that roadblock, ended up leaving before anyone else that showed up prior. So Izzy, I feel like, knocked it out of the park. And I like that Paige pointed out that they were all pretty much tied for third as well as for last. So I was like, this is going to be fun. Like of these 4 teams, it is really neck and neck at this point. It's anyone's racing for last. We did see Jag and Jazz, as we know, they started this leg with their express pass. And obviously the time has run short. It's run out. It's time to use it. It's leg 8. So I want to play the clip of them using it. And then I want to talk about if we agreed with how the express pass was executed.
Needle in the haystack. I'm saying we should use our express pass because it's like all time and luck. We're going to use our express pass. We're using our express pass. Let's go! Here you go. Our beautiful express pass. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, we need to go.
Thoughts on how they used it? Was that the right time to use their express pass? The silence.
If it were us, I don't think we would have used it at that point because a needle in the haystack arriving first or second, you have a better chance of finding it. The detour is going to be harder. If you're really gunning for first, which is what they were doing, I would assume I would make up a lot more time by using it on the detour. But that's us, and it was, it was fortunate for, I think, viewership not to use it because we got to see them be all cute in their costumes. But yeah, I don't know.
I agree. I think I believe that Taylor and Kyland used theirs correctly. However, I think Jag and Jazz were already kind of far in the front that it didn't really matter when they used it. They still got first on this leg, so I think it played out well for them. But I think in terms of task-wise, I would always wait for a detour, especially when I know that the task is like a needle in a haystack. I think I believe in my luck a little bit. that we would be able to do it pretty quick and then get to the detour and not have to do it. That would be lovely.
Well, to Molly's point, I agree. I think showing up to a needle in a haystack task second, like your odds of finding the egg are a little bit greater. So it's like, why not at least attempt the roadblock? You have time. It's just you and Eric and Tucker there. See if you can find it before Tucker and Eric, or maybe you'll find it before the other team show up. And then that way you still have it for whatever the last or final task is before the pit stop. Because I know you said, Will, that they got first, but I mean, it could have been the edit, but that could have just been based on dumb luck because Tucker and Eric were the first team to leave the meat sausage task. And because of their taxi taking the wrong turn, I feel like Jag and Jazz, took the lead there. So I do think, both truths can be true. Like, I think the fact that they used it wouldn't have been what we would have done on the race, obviously, but it still worked out in their favor. And I do think maybe sometimes with a needle in a haystack task, using that is beneficial because like we saw with Adam, he was not having the best luck and he didn't have the express pass to say, you know what, screw it, let's get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I also will say for any future racer, a U-turn always comes after a detour. And so if you're going to use an express pass, you should always use it after a detour because you don't know, unless these teams knew that there was not a U-turn, you don't know if there's going to be a U-turn after a detour. There could have been a U-turn this leg, and then those boys, honestly, Tucker and Eric would have used it on them if there was one. So there's like a little, I guess, like flow of a leg to remember is that can happen. And so that's another reason why I would always use it on a detour is to try and get past that faster. So no, I wouldn't be U-turned.
Yep.
That's so valid. It always comes after the detour. So, but yeah, obviously there was no U-turn this leg, but yeah, that would be an ample time to use the express pass. Well, after this roadblock, teams received a postcard depicting the Palace of Parliament where they would find their next clue, which would end up being the leg's detour, which was a choice between find the beat or hit the note. In Find the Beat, teams had to perform a Transylvanian folk dance to receive their next clue. In Hit the Note, teams had to assemble 2 of the flutes and then play a tune to receive their next clue. And this is where we saw Kylan and Taylor use their express pass to bypass this detour. And I do want to talk about their decision at using the express pass for this. I actually think, like you said, Will, you mentioned it briefly, that this was the right way to use the express pass, like waiting for the detour. Molly, what did you think about, I almost said Thailand again. Taylor and
It's
Thailand.
okay if you do. It's kind of funny.
I like it.
Thailand and Taylor. What are your thoughts on them executing the express pass this way?
Yeah, I think it was super smart. Though I love that Kylan said, I don't know if you caught it, but he's like, oh, I could have done that. He's like, we would use our express pass. But yeah, no, I agree. That was totally the way to go. They could have got up, into second or first, who knows? But yeah.
Yeah, I pulled the clip because there's one thing in particular that I liked about how they decided this, and we'll talk about it after we watch the clip.
Detour! Find the beat or hit the note. We're gonna do whichever one's closer. Excuse me. Are you able to look up either of these places? Because we don't have our phones. Thank you so much. Yeah, can you zoom out again? As soon as we opened the envelope and saw a detour, like we already had in our heads we were going to use the express pass on the detour. So our only goal was like, let's find out which one's closer. We're going to do the find the beat detour because it's closer. Got it.
This is
Not anytime soon.
So this is the next clue for you.
Thank you very much.
Molly, I saw you shaking your head yes as the clip was playing. The fact that they were so forward thinking to say what's closest, I thought was genius. Like that was the move. Finding out which location was closer to get there faster and then immediately use the express pass. I just thought it was beautifully done.
100%. Super smart. They're a smart team.
Yeah. We say this like early on in the season where teams who make mistakes or have like a a hill to get over in those earlier episodes, you usually start seeing them do really well about halfway because have figured out the race. They have figured out what it takes to kind of do well. And so I think Taylor and Kylan had a really good leg because they've had so many hiccups in the past, and now they're learning what they need to do and being really smart about all their decisions that they're making.
Yeah, they're being thoughtful, not just like flying by the seat, just really having a plan and a strategy.
Yeah.
Granted, I am bummed we were robbed of the opportunity seeing Kylan in one of the folk dance costumes. That would have been a riot.
Yes.
In terms of the detours on this leg between Hit the Note and Find the Beat, Molly, if you and Emily were running this season and on this leg of the race, which side of the detour do you think you guys would have naturally gravitated toward?
Well, I would have chosen dance had I not seen my sister over the years try to learn to dance, and she is awful. She will tell you that too. For our 40th birthday, we took a dance class at Miraval. And man, that girl, we were just laughing the whole time. She can't like move her hips to a beat. It was terrible. So we would have had to gone to music.
That is so funny.
Well, I think I already know the answer for you.
I would have done dance for sure. But I also think I have never played an instrument, and so I think we would have been able to do it, but I think that one would have taken longer. It also seemed as like you were listening to the people play it, and I was like, I don't know if that sounds very good. But okay, I guess you got it right.
To be fair, though, Will, the dancing never looks very good either, right?
No, oh my gosh.
True.
There was one time somebody passed, and I was like, wait, they messed up and they didn't do that right. And I'm like, okay, it's
yeah, I said the same.
It really just comes down to how you perform it, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If Bertram likes how you're dancing, you can go.
If you're putting on a show and you sell it with your confidence, then you'll probably get a pass.
Absolutely.
Yep. I do have a bone to pick, though, with the production team, because the dance they chose to feature was super complicated. When Phil was doing the introduction, I was like, oh, this is going to be good. It's going to be like, I think it was 35 where they did the river dance, and it was super hard dance. And then they go into the lesson. I'm like, oh, this is an easy dance. I mean, relatively.
Not even that, like, I don't know why we're normalizing this season. Maybe I didn't really notice it much last, but like the judges are constantly telling them what they're doing wrong. And it's completely throwing me for a loop. And it really is frustrating because I think it takes away what could potentially serve as like an entertaining moment. Like Jag and Jazz, after their first attempt at the dance, the judge immediately told them that they were turning at 1.2 too fast. And it's like, why are we pointing that out? Like, let them figure it out on their own. But to give Jag and Jazz some praise, and this is what kind of worked to mine and Will's favor with the bottle dance on our season, is that instead of going back to the rehearsal room to continue to rehearse the dance, because no other teams were there, they said, let's just keep doing it over and over and over. Because as long as you're in front of that judge and you're doing the dance, not only are you rehearsing, you're continuing to practice, but by the off chance you nail it, then you get out, you get your clue, you get the approval, and you're out of there. So I thought Jag and Jazz did a really good job at saying, let's just keep dancing.
Yep, definitely.
I just wish that the judge didn't tell them what they did wrong.
Even the sausages, right? We'll get there.
I don't understand why. Let's stop telling people.
Yeah, let them go crazy, think they've done it perfect, and not find the one thing they need to fix.
Because I think back of all the moments of like running the race, and then you do something and they're like, nope, sorry. And I remember in my head being like, I have no idea what's wrong. I don't know what I'm doing. And that's where the chaos set in. I don't think I've ever been more anxious in my life than in those moments where I had no clue what was wrong. I hate that we're not seeing that for these teams. Prime example for us was episode 2, where we're trying to make this car and decorate it. And every time he'd walk around the car and he'd go, nope. And we would just be like, what is it?
He would just shake his
that
finger.
challenge.
It was literally an hour and a half of us not knowing what we were doing wrong. But that was great entertainment, not for me, but for the people watching, I guess.
But yeah, imagine if
and-
he said, "Oh, by the way, you didn't hook up your horn." Then we would have been out
No.
way.
Cool.
Your fringe
First
is too
place.
far to the left, right? Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
totally
we would have been out
agree.
of there so fast.
Mhm.
That's the hard part for me, is because it's happened almost every single episode this season where they've gotten feedback on the task, and I really just wish the judges would be like, just say nope, not right, and then just let them figure it out, because I think that's way more anxiety inducing, entertaining for us, but not for the not for the right racers.
Yeah, 100%. That.
Yeah, it like robs the viewer of those stress points on the race for sure. Because yeah, being told no and not knowing what you're doing wrong is so frustrating, and it just adds to the stress because time is so precious on the race. So to be told no and then not know, you're like, well, we're wasting more time. But I thought both sides of the detours felt very even, very balanced, and it delivered some really funny moments, in particular with Paige and Izzy. You know, at the start of this leg, before they even left the pit start, we saw Paige and Izzy talking about how they were itching for a music challenge. And Paige said something along the lines of like, yeah, we might just become religious people if we get that today. And then lo and behold, they got to do Hit the Note. And we know that Paige is a professional. Is it flutist?
Izzy.
What's the
Izzy,
word?
yeah.
Oh, Izzy, yeah,
Izzy.
sorry, Izzy. And Izzy just like lit up. Like it was so entertaining, and watching Izzy like teach Paige like how to do it, and that the whole like
Yes.
Paige, Izzy was so in her element, and it was amazing to see. But I pulled the clip of them actually doing it because Izzy's eyes were cracking me up.
Well done, you too.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you so much.
Congrats.
Thank
Congrats.
you very much. I had so much fun doing this. I really, really liked it, and I really liked watching Paige learn and hearing her play.
Like knocked it out of the park. And I'm pretty sure, and unless this was the edit, that was their first and only attempt. And like it wouldn't surprise me that they did. Oh, I guess I
think it
missed
was
that.
Mm-hmm.
They nailed it. Like they knocked it out of the park. It was amazing.
There are two teams this season that I feel are kind of carrying the season, with their commentary, with how they're racing, with the competitiveness. And one team is Izzy and Paige. I think they are like a traditional, really solid, amazing race team where they're competitive. They're constantly thinking about the race and getting ahead and focusing on themselves and having fun. We've seen them multiple times kind of stop, smell the flowers, and then get right back to the task, which I also love. And they've really excelled at everything that they've done so far. They've had some hiccups, but I really love watching them. The other team that for me is just so entertaining, and I think a really good race team, is Joseph and Adam. I think their commentary, their energy, sometimes they mess up, but they get over it. They've had some really great moments this season. I think those two teams to me are just like so fun to watch. And I think this episode, especially for them, was very entertaining. Her eyes got so big the whole time she's like watching Paige play and just so excited. I love watching those two teams.
Yeah. And I got to watch one of the episodes at Joseph's watch party down in Delray Beach. We live pretty close to each other. And just to like see the sheer excitement and joy and love of the race through his eyes, like he was so excited to watch this show with his friends. And like pause and like tell everyone what was going on, and you know, all of the behind the scenes and how much he loved this challenge and all of that. Like it was just like, it brought me so much happiness to see that, because that's what the race does. Like it's not just a competition, it's the experience, it's the relationships. And I do think Adam and Joseph both truly have like, you know, real love for the show. And I think that, you know, it kind of shows through, like you're saying, well, in the way that they were racing.
You know what I think it is too, and this is not, I wouldn't say this is a negative team, because it's not a negative thing to say, because I don't think all the teams do this, but I do think some are aware of it. But I don't feel like Paige and Izzy or Joseph and Adam are playing to the camera. Like, I don't think that when they're racing, they're not like racing to the camera. They're not racing thinking what the viewers are going to think or how they're going to react to what they're doing in their race. And I think that's what sets them apart for me, for most teams, is that that is just 100% their authentic selves, and they're like racing to race and have fun. And that definitely translates and shines through as a viewer. So I think that's why they do stick out. I mean, the whole cast as a whole has big personalities. There's no denying that. But I think, just to go back to your point, Will, I think that's what it is for me about these two particular teams.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a couple teams that every time they read something or do something, they immediately look at the camera. And then it really bothers me, because it's like the awareness of the fact that there's a camera in your face it's a little much. Yeah, I'm not gonna name names, but it just drives me nuts, because they read a clue and they're like, okay, let's go. Like, you know what I mean? It's just too much. Just run the race, focus on your partner, and stop worrying about us who are watching. Especially because that mindset of when you're looking at the camera is not matching how you're actually behaving.
Yes.
Like, you're so positive when you're looking at the camera, but the second you turn away, you're now arguing with your partner. Like, it's not the same dynamic, where it's hard to watch because it feels fake. It feels like it's not who you're trying to portray a character, and then over here you're yelling.
Yeah. I think that's one element that maybe sets the Amazing Race fans apart from some of the other reality TV show fans too, because a lot of the fans eat that stuff up, right? They get drawn in by it, but Amazing Race fans truly love the race for the race and not necessarily the personalities. So
yes, 100%. So going back to Joseph and Adam, just really quick, they struggled so much at the detour, but Joseph, and the way they communicate and the way they support and uplift each other, I'm obsessed with these two. Like, their bond, their connection, like, it's really enjoyable to watch. And despite like knowing they're towards the back of the pack, I just really appreciated just like their positivity and how they really just supported each other through the tougher times on this leg. But going back to, I guess, I know you were talking about some teams arguing this leg. We saw a lot of bickering, and I think more so than the previous episodes, with Jack and Chelsea. And a lot of that was around navigation. And that's why I really loved that at the beginning of this leg, they were told not to take taxis and until further notice. So seeing them really struggle with navigation, it added some really fun stress points in this episode that felt very classic Amazing Race. Like, they are getting lost. They're not communicating. They're not seeing eye to eye in the directions. Like, I know it was stressful for them, but as a viewer, I was like, yes, this is Amazing Race.
Yeah. Love a good breakdown. That was, and that I don't know if you mapped out any of the locations, but I mean, you're talking like 40-minute stretches of train, right? Or, you know, 4 miles of walking, 2.5 miles of walking. So yeah, it was nice to not see them getting in taxis. I'm sure there were other people that didn't get the lost edit. But I'm sure that it made for some good stress for other teams as well. Yeah, that was fun. And it was fun for me because I went through that torture of self-navigating for my whole COVID season. I was like, now you know.
Yes.
You know.
You had a little European adventure of your own, plus Jordan.
Yeah, plus Jordan. Exactly. I also the beach in Spain though.
I don't remember. I think one of the legs that we had to run around a lot was the Philippines, and I just remember how tired I was. Like having to physically move yourself everywhere instead of like driving. I just remember being so exhausted and like crying at the end of the leg, not because we had made it, but also because I was just like happy it was over. Because you're just so tired from running around and doing that. So I think it's hard as a viewer to recognize that this type of leg where you're running and navigating all on your own, it is physically and mentally so exhausting for these teams. And so that's a huge reason why they start arguing and bickering and messing up. And so it's hard to convey that on an episode.
And what makes it interesting when they say don't take a taxi until further notice is you get to see how people think in terms of getting from point A to point B. I'm rewatching season 2 right now, and on the episode that I'm on, the clue said to get to the next destination by any means necessary. So like seeing the teams kind of weigh out the pros and cons of like, let's take a taxi, but wait, the rush hour right now is really terrible. Let's go on foot. Like, I wish we saw more of that where you're kind of giving the teams free will to decide their fate. I actually think is a really interesting element that has been lost in recent seasons. And it would be nice to maybe see going back to just like the OG race, maybe giving teams a little bit more of that free will to be like, get there however you see necessary.
Yeah.
Maybe just renting bikes. I don't know. Well, after the detour, they had one more route info task where they had to travel to Green Hours Jazz and Theater Cafe, where both team members had to roll 10 miche sausages and then each eat a grilled one before receiving their next clue, which would ultimately direct them to the pit stop. I enjoyed that there was like one more task before the pit stop, and it was really funny to watch people roll out the sausages, and there was some really funny commentary. I meant to pull the clip with Paige and Izzy specifically about how Paige was like, I don't know if it was like a grandfather or an uncle or a conversation she had with a relative that was like, so I fear that you're becoming a vegetarian. and Izzy was like, that code word for lesbian.
That was
so funny. And even like stress points in communication between Kyland and Taylor, like that was funny to me, just watching how like Kyland was going about it and explaining how Taylor needed to roll her sausage, and it just it was so like straightforward in terms of task, but there was still so much room for error, which is like, this is perfect. Like this was a great task. What did y'all think?
Yeah, I loved it. And I was salivating. I wanted to try one so badly. like, I don't know. I can't remember if you guys had any food. Did you have to cook anything and eat it?
No, we cooked something for someone else to eat.
Yeah, but you didn't get to eat it. We had to eat sardines. So they got to eat these delicious
ours was just the beignets.
Oh, yeah. At the end, yes.
I loved this challenge. I thought it was super cute. As a vegetarian, I don't think I wouldn't have any issue just kind of like eating it. I'm sure it tasted delicious.
No, I would have eaten, no problem.
Yeah, but yeah, it looked good. Yeah, I loved it. There's not really anything else. You just rolled a bunch of sausages and that's it.
Just a little snack, just extra protein to push you over the edge to get to the pit stop.
Run.
Yeah.
This is another task where they pointed out which ones were wrong.
Yeah.
And while I think this one makes a little more sense than like the dancing, it still is. It's annoying because that just means they're going to come back and they're going to automatically get it approved the second time that they come back. And so I don't know. I want them to have to do it multiple times rather than like, oh, you got these 3 or these 4 wrong. Go back, you make the 4, you come back and you go. Like I want it to be a little bit more difficult.
Same as the bricks when they were doing the bricks.
Yes.
That too.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
That too.
that's it goes back to like pointing out what's wrong and not letting them figure it out on their own. But FTM's suggestion on how to have made this a little bit harder is to, I think this task was so easy they should have forced them to eat 20 of them as well.
Oh,
That sounds disgusting. Absolutely not. That would have made all the teams sick going into the next leg. I feel like that's just
Or maybe they could have cooked their own to eat and they had to cook it to a certain temperature or something.
Yes, that's a good point. That would have, make them do the work.
or like in previous seasons, they had to sell them.
Oh.
Where they've had to sell things like little street vendors before. You had to cook and then sell 10.
Yeah.
And then you give locals food poisoning because you didn't do it correctly.
I mean, to keep production safe, I would be like, cook 10, but then we're going to give you 10.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was a great, straightforward task, and I was glad that they filled in one more before the pit stop. But this is where we see, Tucker and Eric and Jag and Jazz are neck and neck, and Tucker and Eric get the clue first to go to the pit stop. But on the way, their taxi took a wrong turn, and Jag and Jazz's taxi took a shortcut. So we saw Jag and Jazz kind of take the lead on Tucker and Eric. But had Tucker and Eric gotten first this leg, that would have been 5 first places in a row, which I believe would have tied the record with Justin and Diana, which would have been really fun to kind of see if like Tucker and Eric going into the next leg would have been able to break the record. But sadly, they're not going to tie with Justin and Diana's record. But the pit stop outcome for this leg of the race, I think we were all a little surprised that it was a non-elimination. But first, we got Jag and Jazz. Second, we have Tucker and Eric. Third, we have Kyland and Taylor. Fourth, we have Izzy and Paige. And I liked what they said at the pit stop, how they knew it was going to be a race against 3 other teams instead of 5 because 2 had the express pass. Fifth was Chelsea and Jack. And then in last was Joseph and Adam. But with so much raw emotion, which I loved this moment, and just seeing that sheer joy and just relief and that release for these 2, I am happy that they're still in it and that this wasn't the end for those 2. What were you guys kind of surprised by the non-elimination?
I knew just counting that when it wasn't like a keep on racing leg, right, or a meg, whatever they call it, I kind of knew, I'm like, this has got to be a non-elimination. Or I guess they've done them later in the past, but there's too many teams, or there's not enough teams right now to make it to the end. So
yeah,
I was very glad it was this leg because I do love watching Joseph and Adam.
Were there 6 teams?
Yeah, there's 6.
Yeah, I think traditionally on the Amazing Race at 6, there's usually a double U-turn of some sort in previous seasons. I think I had anticipated that happening this episode before watching. But
I'm glad they didn't, because then the U-turn would have been completely voided with 2 express passes. Because
absolutely.
I think strategically you U-turn the teams with the express passes, and then then the U-turn is completely null and void. So I'm glad there wasn't the U-turn this time.
But with that said, I think it was inevitable that there was going to be a non-elimination leg. I think I'm happy that it was Joseph and Adam because I really like watching them. I think they're fun. And watching them cry was like, it was the sweetest thing. It was so sweet. To just be so excited to do it together and not want to let each other down. And I think they've had that raw emotion the entire season. So I'm glad it was them. I do think that it sets up a very chaotic next episode of The Amazing Race. I believe in the preview we saw that it was a U-turn, but I think it's a U-turn vote.
Yeah.
Yes, I actually pulled the clip. Let's watch the preview for next time.
Next time on The Amazing Race, the live double U-turn is back.
That's bad. bringing all the drama.
What?
If you take it personal, then maybe you shouldn't be here.
You won't want to miss.
$1 million on one end, there's friendship and love on the other.
Since we have a tie, we're going to take another vote.
The fact that it's a tie is juicy, and the fact that they need to revote is even juicier. And I cannot wait to see who is on the receiving end of this being a tie, because the way I'm viewing, if he says there's a tie, it's a double U-turn. So you already know that there's two people going into the U-turn. If there's a tie, does that mean the vote shook out to be like 2-2-2? And so it was like a three-way tie? Or are we getting like maybe four? It has to be that. That's the only really, I think, outcome for there to be a tie.
You can't have a four-way tie in a six.
Oh yeah, it would be a three-way. It would be 2-2-2, which is fascinating to me, and I'm going to be really
unless
curious.
They get to vote for two teams.
Oh, that's also fair. That's also a good point. Then it could be multiple different tie outcomes. I mean, I'm excited that there's a tie, because that means there's going to be drama. And you even see Jack say, like, if you're going to take it personally, then maybe you shouldn't compete or something along those lines. I'm just curious in y'all's thoughts. And well, I mean, obviously the episode hasn't aired yet, but like, who do you feel like are the top options to be U-turn going into this next episode?
If I was there, here's who I would U-turn: Tucker and Eric, Jag and Jazz. That's it. Period.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're eliminated or not. Get them to the back of the pack. Give me 20 minutes so I can like get further along in the race. But that's who I would U-turn, no questions. I'm not going to U-turn a team that's not doing well. Get them out of the front.
Yep.
Well, I will say, yes, I think strategically, maybe going after the first two teams does make sense. But I'm going to play devil's advocate here and say, I think you U-turn Tucker and Eric because they're first. But in second, maybe to give me a little bit of an extra buffer, knowing that Joseph and Adam have a speed bump, maybe U-turning the team that's in last is a way to give you a little bit of extra time. Especially if you're going to U-turn both teams at the front. Sure, you may knock them back to the back of the pack, but that means you're just going to be racing alongside them the whole leg. And I don't know. I mean, I love Joseph and Adam, but there is a sound strategy to potentially U-turn them in this leg.
I don't know. I could see like kind of wanting to use it and guaranteeing someone goes out, but also if the way that these teams are stacking up, like I feel like if you were in the middle of the pack, let's assume we were in the middle of the pack, right? Like I would feel safe enough that I would just want to give myself an advantage going to the next one.
Yeah.
I hope they use race strategy and not BB social strategy.
Yeah.
Yes. Like we saw with the earlier U-turn, and this is to go against what Brad's point is in the chat. I'd rather have a U-turn board instead of a live vote. I would disagree with you on this because Tucker and Eric and Jag and Jazz would use the U-turn, and then it's going to be a predictable leg. Where at this late in the race, it's going to shake things up and it's going to force people's hand, and it's going to help us as viewers really understand like where teams stand among the pack right now. What are people's perception of the teams that are left? That's why I like the live U-turn vote. That's why I loved it in season 37, because I do think the live U-turn vote should be earlier. I just think design-wise, with more teams in the mix, because last season it delivered so much drama with like Scott and Lori being U-turned and Jonathan and Anna. I mean, I just think that it brings more drama, and it just I enjoyed the U-turn vote.
Yeah, I agree.
Another reason why I wouldn't U-turn Joseph and Adam. I love them. However, I think they're a team that is easier to beat in the end.
Mm-hmm.
They have not had a very consistent
That's true too.
Trajectory on the race where if I felt really confident in how I was doing, I would not U-turn them, because I would know that final 3 or final 4, whatever, they might be a team that I can beat in a challenge and get ahead of. Which would be what I would be banking on if using a U-turn to get out a stronger team. At least one of them. I would try and get out at least one of the strongest teams.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if we were running this race, I think U-turning anyone in the top 3 is the way to go. Like, I just think that there is strategy to potentially U-turning Joseph and Adam. I know everyone in the chat's like, it'd be torture, it's so mean, but I'm also like, there is strategic reasoning to U-turn them, unfortunately. I don't think that's what we would do, but I would understand the strategy. I think U-turning teams like Chelsea and Jack or like Paige and Izzy don't make sense to me. Like, I feel like they would be safe with the U-turn. I think any other team is really, target number 1 of the U-turn. But we'll see.
I would not do those 2 teams.
No.
But again, I mean, Izzy and Paige, they would scare me because I think they've been doing well at challenges. However, they wouldn't be my top contenders of like somebody who I could not beat.
No, when you have 3 teams consistently placing on podium in the last 3 legs of the race, you're going to target the top 3 teams. They haven't fallen out of the top 3 in the last couple of legs. It's just, I can't wait. There's so much to unpack with this, and I'm very excited. We are going to be joined by Corey Cool from seasons 28 and 31, and the queen of reality TV herself, Rachel frickin' Riley, will also be joining us. And it's only fitting. I mean, they were the first season of the race to have the live U-turn vote. So I'm excited to hear their thoughts not only on the season, but their thoughts on how the U-turn vote strategy is executed. It'll be a great recap. So we'll be back next Friday at 4 p.m., our regular time. And Molly, thank you so much for joining us and being so flexible and us having to push back our recap. But it's always great to see you and chat with you about the race.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. This was super fun.
Yeah. I'm sorry I didn't have a game. This is the first one.
It's okay. Honestly, I think talking about the U-turn is a fun little game.
It was fun. Yeah, make our predictions.
And so much love for you in the chat as well. Molly, Ashley says, love you, Molly. FTN says, love y'all. Thanks for the live. Thanks, everyone, for watching. And we'll be back for episode 9 next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, everyone.
Bye.